Right, so I'm at this charge point, which is Eco Mobility, and it's actually quite easy to use. I was a bit worried at first. So this door here opens up. You just pull it open when the light's green. You plug in your Type 2 charge point, then it says close the door, and then from there you just grab the other end and plug it into your car, and this light here goes blue. It starts charging. So charging the car there, and then that's it charging. And this door is locked, and it only locks until I unplug the car and take the charge point plug out. So there we have it, charging at 7.1 kilowatts. It's going to take 7 hours. I don't think we'll be here for 7 hours, but at least we will get a nice free charge out of this.
The blankets! The blankets!
This here is locked. So if I hold down the button, it unlocks the car. So now the car's unlocked. Unplug the charge point. This has turned green, which means I can actually open this up and take out a Type 2 cable. That's it. And then close the door for the next user. Instructions on the top. Nice and simple. Didn't last long, did it, coming out here?
No, a bit too windy. It was like at least an hour.
Yeah.
Including everything.
Well, we're charged up to 46%. It's going to give us, well, I think wasn't that high before, I don't think. I didn't really bother looking. Probably about 30% before. So we weren't out long at Stella Plage, and the kids got soaking wet and full of sand. But we've got about 100 miles of range, but I'm sure we'll have some other opportunities to charge the car up along the way. And I think there's a couple more that are free chargers because they look about the same sort of style. We'll find out when we get to them at some point. So until then, we're just going to chill out back at the villa. Overcast, gale force winds. No wonder they all wanted to come home. On the A16 at the moment, and we're bombing down at 80 miles an hour. The only reason for that is because we can, because that's the national speed limit here. So this is the fastest I've actually driven in the car, and it's pretty stable. It's there's a little bit of wind noise. The car feels pretty planted. Doesn't actually feel like 80 miles an hour. If I'm doing 80, what speeds are these trucks doing? I've reset the consumption, the miles per kilowatt hour, so we're going to see how much the consumption is doing 80 miles an hour or at 128 kilometers an hour. We have roughly about 16 miles down the motorway to go, or dual carriageway, and we're going to fill up at the Ionity near Abbeville. I'll need to try and get some change on the way back. Hopefully we can actually use the credit card for the toll road, because I've got a ticket for the toll road. I think it's probably about €3 to get back on and off. So all in all, it's going to cost me €12 to fill this car up, roughly. I think that's a fair price with the amount that I'm going to be putting back into this car. I reckon I'd need about 55 kilowatt hour of juice to put into the car. I could be wrong. We are currently at, let me check on the EV, 21%. Bombing at 80 miles an hour, we are getting roughly about 2.9 miles per kilowatt hour. Overall trip was 3.9, and it's still 3.9, so average of 600 odd miles isn't really going to be going down anytime soon. So we'll flip back to the consumption info. This is one thing I suppose about this car which is a bit weird. There's only really one trip meter. On the Leaf you have two, you got the A and the B trip, but this one only has the one trip that you can account for, and the second trip actually resets itself every time you sort of like leave the car for like half a day. It'll reset the trip. So the morning trip that we did today has been scrubbed from here, so we are actually starting from afresh. So from where we left off at Sarus to this part of the motorway, it's 3.1 miles per kilowatt hour, and just for the motorway part, which I reset, we're on 3 miles per kilowatt hour at the moment, and that is quite a good consumption rate for doing this sort of speeds. So from Sarus we're heading south towards Abbeville, and we're heading on towards the Ionity. There's not that much charge point around where we're staying, and they're both sort of like similar sort of distance northbound of the A16 or going southbound. And going northbound towards Calais, the chargers are 50 kilowatts, and I'd have to use my new motion card. So I decided against that, because going southbound to the Ionity here, I think there are 150 kilowatt charge points, and I should be able to charge up at 77 kilowatts, which means I won't be hanging around for an hour and a half to charge the car up, and I can basically tank it down there, hence why I'm in sports modes doing 80 miles an hour. And our consumption is at 2.8 miles per kilowatt hour. So we're close to 130 kilometers an hour at the moment, heading down this highway, freeway, dual carriageway, roadway. So there's parking. Alright, okay, there's a Tesla bay. This is easy. So as you come in, that's it. You are at the Ionity chargers. And I will take up this bay, I think. Let's go for the one in the middle. EV. So we're down to 13%. We were at 20 odd before. And we come back here. It says that we're on the DC chargers. It should take an hour 42 to charge to 100%. We say 90. 90% should take us an hour and 8 minutes. €8 per session. Right, let's see how this all works here. Start. English, please. So it's saying insert plug into vehicle. Verifying my credit card. Not authorized to start charge. Right, let's try one of the other cards that I got. New motion card. Press start. Verifying. Ooh, authorization confirmed. New motion card, you beauty. So this new motion card seems to have done the trick. Oh my goodness, this sounds awful. Don't know if you guys can hear that. There you go, 13%. Juice is going in already. 49 minutes reported by car to get up to 80%. Car is happily charging away. Currently charging at 51 kilowatts. So I've been charging for about 30 minutes and we're up to 59%. We're still pulling 56 kilowatts, which is 57 kilowatts, sorry. And that is still a decent speed actually. I was hoping to get about 77, but maybe there's some sort of restriction on these units for now. There's no one else charging, no one at the supercharger, no one here, so it's only myself. So I can only think that there's some sort of restrictions on the charging here, possibly. But 57 kilowatts, I don't think that's too bad for half an hour. We're at 69% and peaked before at 59 kilowatts. So that's us almost getting 60 kilowatt in speed, which is 50% quicker than what we normally get in the UK at about 43 kilowatts. And that's a pretty decent speed for me. I'm quite happy with that. The 1 hour and 8 minutes up to 90%, it said, might actually still hold true. So at the current charge rate, to get to 100% we need to wait an hour and 5 minutes. I don't think we'll wait that long. We'll probably head off in about half an hour once we get to about 90%, which should be a more than sufficient amount of juice into the car. So I'm at 95% now, and I was actually just on the phone tweeting away on different things and getting some arty shots up of the car and the charge points. So yeah, so I kind of lost track of time, and I'm up to 95 now, so I might as well stop because it's at 10 kilowatts on charge speed. I'm gonna head off back home now, and we'll see what the rest of the week brings us with a near enough full battery. But for now, I'm just gonna head off. I think I made a really good use of my €8. Let's see how much we actually filled the car to. So it looks like we've sucked in about 60 kilowatt hours of energy into the car, and at €8 for this charging session, that works out to be about 13 cents. So 13 cents for 1 kilowatt hour of energy, which roughly translates to about 11 pence a kilowatt hour on cost. So that actually works out cheaper than my home charging at home, which is about 13 pence, just under 13 pence a kilowatt hour to charge up. So all in all, thumbs up to Ionity, because that's one of the cheapest rapid chargers that I've been to, well, apart from all the free ones in Scotland, but for the ones that I have actually paid for, that's a decent price and a decent speed as well. Right, so I'm going to stop the charge now. It's really weird, there's a big massive screen, there's like nothing there. It's just really weird that it's just got the little percentage there, and there's a big stop button over here. So I'm going to hit the stop button, click OK. Just going to see if this actually gives some more information now that it's stopped. See, look, a little tiny icon over there. It's just bizarre. It's got nothing else on there. Well, there's a question mark there. Successful. Right, we're going to unplug and put it back in its cradle. It's easy as that. So we're about to come off the A16, and we've probably done about 35 miles roughly of motorway driving at 80 miles an hour. We've clocked 38 miles so far, and we're at 2.9 miles per kilowatt hour overall, but just on motorway where I reset the consumption, it's 2.9, so it's not that much of a difference there. So 2.9, that's what we're going for. We're going to find out how much it's going to cost us to come off the motorway. It's most likely €3, because that's how much it cost us for the toll coming off when we came from Calais. So that toll road actually cost me €16.40, and I think the reason for it being invalidated on the actual ticket, because it's normally about €3 from Calais to here, and I think the reason why it was invalidated was because the toll booth where I got the ticket from was probably wondering why it took me roughly about 2 hours to get back to the same point where I started from. So the ticket became invalidated, so I had to pay the full amount, which was €16.40 for whatever sort of distance that would be. So I think in future I would actually drive the opposite direction probably towards Abervale, and cash the ticket in there for €3 and basically double back. I reckon that would be cheaper. I'll give that a go if I ever need to go back down that way, but that's a lesson learned. Do not pick up a ticket from the toll booth and then trying to exit the same toll booth 2 hours later, because it definitely did not like that. And it kind of makes sense, because why would you enter and exit the same booth in the space of 2 hours? So where was I in those 2 hours? It was a little bit of a lost time for the unit, which meant that it couldn't compute what the heck I was doing. So that's something that you need to watch out for if you are thinking of heading through the French toll booth and back. But yeah, that was but it still wasn't too bad, because I think even though that was 16 plus 8 for the charge, that's 24 euros. That works out to be about 40 cents, and 40 cents is about 37 pence, which is 37 pence a kilowatt. So that's how much it actually cost me to charge, including paying for my fine for the toll booth. Well, anyway, that's the end of this little bit of a venture here. But at 80 miles an hour, we were clocking about 3 miles per kilowatt hour. So that's what you'd roughly get. So I'd say that's about 180 miles easy, doing 80 miles an hour in this car in good, decent weather. In the car to unplug, you hit that, unplug it here, so that light is going to go green. Okay, unplug that. I've actually got this here. That's the Hyundai charger, which goes in a 3-pin, which then I got a converter to go into a 2-pin, and that's it. Oh, that's not too bad for a 3-pin plug or 2-pin plug. 79%. Right, so that got us a few extra miles. It's not bad, was it? For 2-pin plug. Mr. Tesla's still charging. Right, time to go. So this is the last day of our trip in France, and I'm charging at a Lidl. I was passing this yesterday in Burke and thought it was a rapid charger, because most Lidls in the UK have rapid charge points, but this is a type 2, so I'm charging at, I think it's about 7.5 kilowatts, 7.4 kilowatts of charging speed. So I'm just going to top up here, and I'm going to buy some wine at Lidl in France as gifts for the neighbours and for my brother, just like anyone else would do while they're on holiday in France. Get wine from Lidl. Well, I hope they don't watch this video, because they're going to be surprised at how great quality the wine that I've bought them is going to be. We don't need too much of a charge anyway. In theory, we could actually drive back to Calais and either top up there if the charger works, or once we get over to Folkestone, there's plenty of rapid charge points on the other end, either if it's Ionity or one of the other charge points. We're at 55% now. I'm just going to head in. If we can get to 170 miles, I'll be more than happy with that. So we'll see what happens. I'm just going to leisurely shop for some quality wine for for friends and family. And yeah, well, if you're watching this, hope you enjoy the wine. So I've just finished shopping, and I realised that the charge point here isn't actually on PlugShare, so I thought I'd add it in just for anyone that decides that they need a little bit of a top up while they go shopping or go across the road to the restaurant Rogue for some food. I put it in PlugShare here as Lidl Route de Burke. It has amenities, etc. I've put some pictures of the car and the charge point, and saying that it actually all works. So I actually feel like one of these explorers in the olden days, and the one that comes to mind is Dora, and I'd like to say, I did it! Right, enough of this shenanigans. I'm actually up to 64% here, which means that I am ready to go. I've got 57 miles added to the car, That's an extra 20 or so miles, and that should be more than enough for this trip. If we come here, it's 60, well, with climate off it says 62, and we should get 157 miles. Should be enough for us to get back. I reckon we'll be held up in traffic anyway near London, so hopefully I can get a top up at Calais as well. So we'll just play it by ear tomorrow. Well, I'm actually up to 65% now. I'm going to stop the charge. We're going to take the camera and we're going to find out how this charge stops. Hopefully we can get it to stop and I can get my cable back. Let's give it a go now. I'm going to press the big red button here. Unlocks. Charge point unlocks. So this is where you'd put your French 2-pin, which we got a converter for, and that is just the standard type 2 plug. Right, so it's time to get back to see everybody. We're going to have a last dinner here, and then we're off back to London in the morning, back through the Eurotunnel. Right, so hopefully we should have enough charge for that. I'm still going to be doing 70 miles an hour wherever I can. Right, so let's hit the road. I'd like to say thank you for watching, and if you like this video, please hit the like and subscribe button, and we will catch up next time when we head up from France to London and all the way back up to Scotland.